Even just walking around the house made me tired.
And we're back, Matt.
Hey, how's it going, guys? Sorry, I thought you were gonna continue on for a moment.
No, man.
That's it. We're done with the intros. Like we're just going to go straight into it now.
Okay, gotcha.
Yeah. Hey, I think you were gonna get into like NPS and Singapore and maybe a little bit of running this week, right?
Yeah, that's right. Are we doing the challenge today?
No, I didn't get the thing in yet. I think it comes in on Tuesday.
Oh, did you prepare your ramen already?
Yes, I did.
So you gotta eat it anyways,
You're gonna have
man.
to do the challenge twice.
You gotta do it twice.
Oh, yeah. So for our episode, we were going to eat some do like a spicy food challenge. So I got two things.
Oh man, nice.
So I guess I'm just doing this by myself.
Yeah, I guess you're doing it by yourself.
Got this.
Yep.
So we were going to eat some spicy chips, and so I brought some mala flavored spicy chips. I don't know how these are. So
okay, that's some bullshit, man. We were gonna eat some Paqui chips, and you bought some goddamn spicy potato chips in a bag like that.
Yes, yeah, but it says it's level 8. That means it's
level
very
8.
spicy,
Right? It's fucking hot Cheetos, man.
Yeah, that's what I was thinking. Flaming hot.
I thought about it. I thought about buying flaming Cheetos. I was like, this should work, right? This is compatible there. And then I also bought the spicy noodles.
So the hot heads is ready to go, right? It looks like you've already poured hot water.
Yeah, I've already poured some hot water. It came with a nifty little fork.
Oh, that's cool, actually. That's
yeah,
cool.
It is.
Yeah. So let's try this out. All right. Mix it up a little bit.
So now that's spicy curry, right?
Yeah, this is spicy curry, hot heads, Maggi. It says more chili shiok.
Okay.
Shiok means I forgot what exactly it means, but it's Singaporean slang. Or slang way of speaking.
Well, I wanted to see it before you just like devoured it.
Oh, sorry. There's nothing too much to it. It's just noodles and hot water flavor. Yeah.
Oh, okay.
I can't even see the spicy steaming out of it, man.
Yeah.
You know?
It looks really like pale to be spicy. Like I expected something like to be like dark red, like blood red.
No. I put a lot of powder into it. Yeah, it's actually not too bad. I would have felt bad if you guys did the chip challenge and ate this.
So what are you gonna bring next week then, man?
You need to get a habanero and just eat it raw. Actually, that's less hot than the chip, so you might have to get like a pepper X.
I was contemplating because last night you asked me why did I stay up so late last night. I went to go buy this. I was thinking about buying this like chili sauce that you use to make soup. Just dip the chips into the chili sauce in this.
Man, the Paqui chip, my Paqui chip came in like Wednesday or something like that, and it's what, Carolina Reaper and Scorpion peppers.
Yep. Mm-hmm.
Yeah, so it's insane, man. So we'll definitely try.
You're gonna have to do better next week.
Yeah,
because you look like you're enjoying that.
Yeah, man. I bet
it's very good.
I bet the shit ramyuns are more spicy than what he's eating. You know,
right?
Probably.
Right.
Yeah, but for the record, I could take spicy food, so be careful if you can't.
Did you bring a beer with you, man?
No, I brought a Monster.
Nice.
Good God, what'd you drinking, Andy?
So actually, it's a local winery. It's Steph and I's probably favorites, Grey Ghost. Kind of see the label there. This is a Victorian white. It's so the winery itself is super close to us. It's in Virginia. Awesome people. Went there. We talked to the owner. It was like totally impromptu. Just walked in. The owner sat down with us, told us everything about his winery, like laid out like 5 drinks for us, and we fell in love with the place. We fell in love with him. The wine is amazing. We bought, I don't know, probably a couple boxes of wine. And then this Victorian white is actually one of the whites that I like. I'm not usually a fan of whites, so or especially sweet wines anyway. So I found it interesting. I like this, and let me remind myself of the flavor.
What kind of grape is a Victorian white?
It's probably a blend, to be honest with you. Let's see if they tell us. They do not say. I'm not sure if Victorian white is a grape or if this is a blend.
Okay.
Not 100% positive, but it's good. It's got like this pear flavor to it. It's sweet. It lingers. It's got a nice heavy body to it. If you like wine, it's pretty good. I like it. I'm not a huge fan of whites. Is my disclaimer here.
I can tell, right? Because
Yeah.
you know, like the sweets and wines can differ between a Riesling and a Moscato. So is it a Riesling sweet or is it a Moscato sweet?
Neither. I don't think it would register on any of those. Like this is probably closer to a Chardonnay
Really?
in terms of sweetness. Yeah.
Okay.
Like it's sweet, but it's not overbearing. But much closer to a Chardonnay than a Riesling or a Moscato.
That's interesting. You know, I only drink white wine when there's nothing else in the fridge.
Yeah, that
is exactly what happened
today. we have a ton of wine, but all the beer I have, we've either drank before or I ran out of, and all my good liquor is either stuff I don't want to drink on the show or I've already shown on the show. So we're having wine.
Yeah, and
Nice.
I'm sorry, Matt. That ramen's actually looking pretty good. What brand is it?
It's actually we were talking about it before, but it's actually from Nestle.
Nice.
Right.
So it is Flamin' Latinos.
Weren't you talking shit about Nestle?
Yes.
Yeah.
I don't want to support them. Let me go buy their stuff next week.
So you know how we always talk about, oh, where did you come from? So like before the show, I was like, oh, I wonder where this. I better look at this before we start. And I'm like, oh, Nestle, cool. the irony.
Oh man, that's hilarious. That's hilarious.
Yes.
Well, you actually brought a beer this time. This is perhaps one of my favorites.
Oh, is that an Asahi? Oh, Sapporo.
Sapporo. Oh well, you know, this is what we sake
Good.
bought with.
Yeah.
Right? Yeah, I actually had.
Oh, is that the lager? Which one is that?
Yeah, it's just regular old Sapporo.
Okay.
I'm sure it is a lager. Although, yeah, it tastes like a lager.
You know what? I don't think I've ever had it in a bottle. I've always had it in that silver can.
Really?
Yeah, I don't think I've ever had it in a bottle before.
Usually, I don't drink Sapporo alone, right?
Yeah, that's true.
You know, I say lager. It doesn't say if it's a lager on here or not, but it tastes more like a pilsner. A much lighter pilsner than something like Peroni. You ever had Peroni?
Yeah.
It's a good beer. You know, Sapporo's a Japanese beer that is a fucking product of Canada. If you
that makes sense. That makes sense.
So, you know, that actually has me questioning now. Is Sapporo a Japanese beer?
I thought it was. I thought Sapporo, Ichiban, and Asahi were the big ones.
Yeah, me
Sounds
too.
Japanese.
But it's not. It's an Ontario beer. What the fuck?
They've been fooling us this entire time.
This entire fucking time, we see Sapporo in every single damn Japanese restaurant, and it's a fucking Canadian beer. What the?
I mean, I always order Ichiban or Asahi, so you know that's on you.
No, hang on a second.
Sapporo is a city in Japan.
It is in Hokkaido.
Yeah.
They fooled you.
It's a Japanese beer. Yeah.
Let's see. Sapporo is the oldest brand of beer in Japan. It was first brewed in Sapporo, Japan. 1876. The company purchased the Canadian company Sleeman Breweries in 2006.
Sleeman, what?
Sleeman. I guess
Sleeman.
that's So it is a Japanese beer. It's just now they also brew it in Canada.
Huh. Okay.
Interesting.
Mystery solved.
Random question. When you do the sake bombs, does it matter what beer you're using or as long as it's a Japanese beer?
No. So I prefer the taste of it with a Sapporo, and I've never seen it done with anything else but a Sapporo.
Okay.
I've tried to do it with Kirin before.
Mm-hmm. Oh yeah, I forgot about Ichiban. Yeah.
Doesn't hang on a second.
Do you just happen to have a Kirin in there too?
No. I just
Oh.
let Phoenix's cat in.
Oh,
But yeah, no, this beer is a great beer, man. I do like Asahi and I do like Kirin as well, which these are the 3 top beers that you usually see in a Japanese restaurant, right?
Mhm.
But yeah, it tastes like a nice light pilsner and it's not too expensive. So yeah, love it. Matt, what we got?
So today might be a shorter episode, but I was hoping to talk about the national parks in Singapore and just my general experience running here. And before I moved to Singapore, even met my wife, who is Singaporean, I knew nothing about Singapore at all. I didn't even know the country existed. So when yes, I am the typical ignorant American.
Oh, I think you give it a new name.
Yeah. So, but even Singaporeans, they call it the little red dot because if you try to find it on a map, it's a very tiny speck. If you were to put like indicator where it is, it's just a red dot. So even like in the advertisements for Singapore, they will say, "Hey, the red dot."
The red dot.
So come to the red dot.
Isn't that a brand of a camera?
It
Probably.
is.
Is it really?
Yeah.
Actually, I don't know.
It's a
It's
really
either
good
black
camera,
or
I thought.
dot or-
Yes.
Yeah, it's like the cinema camera.
Yeah.
Right. So it's a very, very tiny island. And if you travel from one side to the other side of Singapore, the complete opposite is takes only less than an hour, 45 minutes maybe, to drive from one side to the other. So there are people who are run the whole length of Singapore sometimes. And so that's one of my lifetime goals is to be able to do that.
I mean,
But,
it's not that long, right? Isn't the circumference? Okay.
No,
I
it's
feel like
not.
that's a bad lifetime goal.
easy to accomplish. Sounds more amazing than it is.
So I'm surprised to see that Singapore has even a list of 10 Singapore national parks for getting up close to nature. Dude, they're beautiful.
Yeah, the parks. That I was going to say is that the parks here are beautiful. That was one of the first things I noticed. Just in general, when you first come to Singapore, you come out of the airport, is how green everything is, and you would not think of that if it was such a small island where it's heavily industrialized. It's kind of like traveling around New York in the scale of how big the city is, and but like even on the bridges and everything like that, where like in the back of Milwaukee, it's very ugly looking bridges. It's just concrete. Here they try to purposely make it as green as possible. So there's like flowers and greenery all planted along the side of the links of the bridges. And apparently the leadership did that on purpose just because they figured it is the cheapest way to make Singapore look very pretty, apparently. And
Not a bad
but
idea.
yeah, it is. And because it's so small, they have very long-term thinking when it comes to planning out the city.
Mhm.
So they try to put, as they're building and zoning everything, they try to make parks as accessible as possible to everyone. So it doesn't take me long to walk to my park. It's like, if I walk there, it's like 15, 20 minutes.
So
And
what are we talking about? Are we talking about like 10 acres of just like flat greenery and no trees, or like Singapore is
It's-
just one massive city? So I'm thinking New York City kind of parks.
yeah, the cities are pretty similar to New York Central Park, I would say. It's
Okay.
not completely on that scale, but there's a huge lake over there, close by to where I'm at, and they have like the typical water park activities you can do there, like kayaking. You can rent kayaks, you can get on the swan boats, and rent bikes here. And the park is massive, you know. But and
The one near
But
you,
what's it-
what's it called?
oh my god, Chinese Garden.
Chinese garden.
That's the one right next to you. Yeah.
Right. Yeah, it's Chinese
Surrounded by
Garden.
Water.
Right, exactly. But it's kind of funny, like how even though like Singapore put so much effort into making parks accessible before COVID, no one really took advantage of it. And whenever me and Joyce went out before, years ago, it was, I wouldn't necessarily say it was empty, but it was close to it. But now you go there now because of COVID. Everyone's scared of even just like going to the mall because there's a lot of infections here because of the Delta virus. The parks are packed. Everyone is doing something. It's hard to move around. Even just like walking on the sidewalk, there's like dozens and dozens of bikes zooming past you. But I kind of like it and don't like it at the same time. It's fun just to see so many people out and active. But when you have a little one who's almost 2 years old, it's a bit difficult for her to walk around just freely. So
yeah, you sent pictures at one point. We were looking at it. Like the area they had like an exhibit up or something where the kids can like build things and like they can like climb all over it. It looked really cool.
Oh yeah. The Chinese garden, it's relatively new actually. It's been there for a while, but they did a lot of heavy renovations about 2 years ago, and now there's like an amazing playground area, and the playground area is big as well. Like there's a lot of playground parks, and there's like jungle gyms where you can climb through the netting, and there's like trees that surround you that make it kind of look like you're climbing through the forest. Mm-hmm. And they even have I forgot what it's called, the zip lines. They have zip lines for kids. Yeah, so there's no harness or anything. They just climb onto the zip line and just I saw a kid yesterday go so fast that she almost fell off. She went zooming, man. And then so they have that, and they have like wooden boxes that is kind of like a wooden box maze that kids can climb it. Okay. I went climbing with her yesterday, and I realized it's not for adults. Very tough. And they have one of the cool things is that they have a trampoline park.
Oh, that's cool. Okay.
They have a whole bunch of small mini trampolines that people can climb on.
Is it outside?
Yeah, it's outside.
Okay. I have a dumb question and then a question after that because I need the answer to it. What do you call the neighborhoods in Singapore? Is it like a prefecture?
Ghettos.
What's that?
Ghettos, right?
Ghettos. Public housing. Yeah. They tend to just call them blocks.
Blocks. Okay. So if you're not around like a block there, like actually, is there a lot of driving in Singapore, or do people just take public transportation to get to places?
They usually tend to take public transportation. The public transportation is amazing here.
So is there a stop there at the Chinese garden?
I think there's a stop close by, but actually I've never taken the bus there because it's so close.
Okay.
But we do take the taxi, even though we have a little one. So
okay. How sorry, Andy, did you have a second question after that?
No, that was just it. I was just trying to give the audience an idea how to get there if they're in Singapore.
So how close how much do they preserve the natural setting in those national parks in Singapore? I was looking at a couple of those pictures, and some of them are a little bit I guess they look almost like amusement parks.
Yeah, it's a mix of both. Depends where you go. They do try to keep to the natural habitat, and even now my brother-in-law, who was telling me when he was going to school, they put a lot of effort into when he was in school about preservation efforts, and they would have the kids go out and they would teach them different things or take them to the parks. But there's parks where you can go where it's just like it's famous for the birds for whatever reason when they're traveling from north to south around the equator. I don't know, but they always come to Singapore. So kind of like how Singapore is like a tourist stop for people, it's also for birds apparently. And there's birds from all over the region that will come when they're migrating. So it's very popular for bird watchers. I think it's at East Coast Park, I believe. And then and there's a national park where it's not, at least when we went, there wasn't too many people, but it's a lot of climbing. You go through the mountains, and then it's a long hike, about an hour or two. And then when you get to the top of the mountains, there's a long bridge that connects. And at the top, that's where all the monkeys like to live. Oh. So you have to be careful. Yeah. So the monkeys are freely like just walking around, just doing whatever they want. And you have to be careful when they're going around across the bridge because they will try to.
So there's no like animal control or like nature association or agency that's like trying to make sure they're unharmed?
There was a guy there.
There was a guy.
Yeah, there was one guy, and we were trying to cross because there's monkeys chasing after us, and we were gonna get past, and because they know we cannot get past them, so so we try to ask for help. So he's like, "Oh, it's okay, don't worry." He brought a long stick and a shoe.
And you didn't videotape this?
It's somewhere in my videos. So he's like, "Yeah, don't worry, just get behind me."
I feel like we might need that video for the beginning of this one.
Right.
Yeah. And I think he actually threw the shoe at one monkey. He's like, "All right, you're good now. Go."
That's awesome.
So funny, man.
Yeah. So
how big are these parks? I mean, you know, like the ones in the United States, they're massive. You can't even cover an entire park in a week or even a month.
they're not to that scale, I would say. You can definitely cover them within a day or so. But I feel like if you want to fully appreciate it, you have to go there several times. Even with the Chinese garden that's near our house, there's so many things to do and see over there that we still haven't fully explored it. I feel like they have like
even to go.
Oh yeah, it's completely free. All the parks are free.
Awesome.
Yeah.
So I saw today that you guys have these little robots that are rolling around town, seeing if people are misbehaving.
No, what? Really?
And
Really?
it's
I don't
putting
know
people in Singapore on edge. Apparently, you don't know
Really?
about this. So I'm guessing you don't have those in your parks.
No. That sounds cool though.
Well, you know,
I don't know if that sounds cool. I don't think that sounds cool.
I don't think that. So speaking of digital privacy, oh, here it is. Here it is. New robots patrolling for antisocial behavior causing unease in Singapore streets.
Yeah. That's awesome.
This is why Matt
not
hasn't
surprised.
been arrested yet.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So do people? So do the national parks in Singapore? Do they allow for like camping and what's the camping culture like in Singapore?
Very difficult. I think there's like one. Like I don't know the best answer to it, but only place that we went camping at is like this small little island that we had to take a ferry to.
Uh-huh.
And even that small island wasn't too much to it. And like we biked around the whole thing in less than a half an hour.
Oh wow.
Yeah. So yeah.
It kind of sounds like to me the culture around national parks might be a bit different in Singapore than it is in the States, because I feel like in the States, when we talk about national parks, it is a weekend getaway. You go, you stay a few nights there, you do a few trails, you check out the wildlife. There's probably some kind of preserve there, but like a quick Google search, because I'm amazing like that. Like there was a McDonald's in your Chinese garden, and there's like structures, and looks like there's commercial there. So it feels like culturally, we're in the United States, we're like preservation. We want to, have the natural beauty. It looks like they instill the beauty into the park rather than like allow what was there to become more prominent.
I feel like they try to do a mix of both, at least when the Chinese garden, that's the one I had the most experience with. There's actually not too many commercial stores around the area. Mm-hmm. It's actually kind of hard to find sometimes, but there is like one small section where they have, a few different stores, and there's a cafe where you can get most different types of food, nothing spectacular, but they try to keep it natural as much as possible, I feel like.
Okay.
And but one of the cool things too, I was going to say, is a bit separate from your question, is they're almost done with kind of building a massive connecting trail that connects all the parks around the whole country.
That's cool.
And so basically in theory, you can walk from one park and go throughout all the different parks within a few days if you wanted to. So I think that's something I want to do. I want to try.
Okay. I like that. You probably do it in a day, if you get in fast enough.
Yeah. It's about, I think the whole length is around at least 200 kilometers. So
what's that in freedom
units? Okay.
units?
That's going to be 500 miles.
500. Is that right? That would be less.
No, it'd be less. It'd be less. Yeah. Sorry.
I was
5K is
asking what
pretty
that
much-
was in freedom units, man.
Freedom
Freedom
units.
units.
Oh, okay. Miles still works. I stand by my answer.
Yeah.
I
But
see. How many is it? 300?
Yeah, 300 kilometers.
300. About what? 90 miles? About 90 to 100 miles? About 100 miles.
Yeah. Yeah,
Right?
sure.
Because 3K, 5K is a little over 3 miles.
So
100,
100,
186.
186.
186 miles. Nice.
Jesus Christ, dude.
Point four. Quick math.
Quick math, man. So
Yeah,
Did all in my head.
do they have like a lot of trails over there that you can run inside the national parks?
They do, and but it's not really isolated to just running, especially because now it's so packed. But that's part of one of the reasons why I wanted to start running, because I feel like the trails here are so beautiful and so gorgeous, and I feel very lucky, and I would feel bad if I didn't take advantage of it. So that's part of the reason why I actually got into running, because it's really fun just running around, and then plus you see so many people being active. It kind of helps encourage you in a way, or I don't know, not encourage you, but feels like you're not alone in it. I don't know how to fully explain it, but it's just a really nice feeling that seeing everyone. Even Riley, she gets into it when she sees people running past her. She was like, "Oh, I have to run too." She wants to start running after them.
So we made the comparison earlier about Central Park, and I kind of want to touch back on that because I thought it was interesting. You said it was similar to Central Park, but if you go to Central Park, the wildlife you see is going to be super, super tame, like birds, snakes,
Crackheads.
maybe, but they're going to leave you alone. But when you, like, every now and then you send us a picture and you have like, what was that a little like crocodile or something that was
a
in your room?
monitor, right?
Yeah, monitor lizard.
Yeah.
The thing was massive. It was
Yeah,
just, it was like in the middle of the sidewalk. It wasn't even in the park, right? That was just a sidewalk near the park.
Yeah.
It's just crazy to me.
Yeah, there's there, and apparently they're
What's
everywhere.
wildlife like in the parks?
You don't really I haven't really seen too much in a sense of this, like when I just my general walks. I think if you go to certain areas, you can see much more of them. There's like a butterfly park area there you can go to. There's tons of butterflies. But yeah, I've been really surprised by the monitor lizards. Even just like running around the canal, I was running, I wasn't really thinking too much, and then as I came down around a corner, there's a huge ass monitor lizard just right there. I was like, shit. And I tried to run away. I was trying to take pictures. And as I'm walking backwards, trying to be safe, there's one right behind me. There was another one. I was like, what the hell? And then it started hissing at me.
People pay hundreds of dollars for those things as pets in the United States.
Really?
Yeah. So it's kind of cool to see them run like everywhere wildly.
Are they dangerous, or are they like super safe animals?
Yeah. Apparently they're safe.
Okay.
as long as you don't antagonize them. But it's just funny, like I saw them when I saw them way back the first time. I was so excited. I was like, oh my god, what the hell is this? I didn't even know what it was. I was like, is this a Komodo dragon? I didn't know. So but like everyone's just like looking at me like I'm crazy. Like, why you make such a big deal about it? Everyone's just walking by as if it's normal.
It's like, it's just a pigeon, dude. It's just a pigeon.
Right. Yeah. That's exactly what it is, man.
But there was one other wildlife creature I would mention is apparently around 9 to 10 a.m. around where I'm at, a bunch of otters like to swim by in the river, and so that's pretty cool to see, and you hear them like chirping and stuff. Okay. And then I saw a few of them come up towards our area, and they started running after each other and started kind of attacking. But then everyone was watching those. Yeah, they thought that was interesting. At least monitor lizards, no. Otters, yes.
So outside the Chinese garden, what other parks have you gone to?
Not many. Yeah, I kind of told. Yeah, even Joyce apparently hasn't really gone to many herself.
Is there a reason for that, or are they just kind of difficult to get to?
At least before COVID, it was too hot. I mean, it's still hot now.
Yeah.
But as soon as 9 o'clock hits, it's around 90 to 110 degrees weather outside here.
Ooh, jeez. That's
And it
nuts.
doesn't get cool until like closer to 6, so 5 or 6 p.m. And so whenever I asked my Joyce's family before, like, hey, do you guys want to go on a picnic? They're like, no. It's way
Don't
too hot to go on a picnic. But now it's like people have no choice. Like it's not really much to do now. So
But does Singapore get any cooler during the winter time?
no.
Really? Oh, that stinks.
It just rains a lot, and that the rain helps keep it cool in that sense. But I think we get a bit of the monsoon season that comes around the Asian area, the Asian region. But we don't get a monsoon, but we just get the heavy rains. So
tell me about this this water that surrounds Chinese garden. That's kind of like a bay, right? Because it opens up to either the Pacific. Is it the Pacific Ocean? That's right.
I believe so. Yeah.
You live
I don't have.
Is it not? I can't believe you haven't jumped on a boat and went fishing or shrimping yet, man.
It looks like it's either the South China Sea or the Gulf of Thailand.
So do people like do a lot of fishing and that kind of like activity for leisure in Singapore?
People do it, but not nearly to the scale of how Americans do it. Even in America, not many people do it, but here is very few. But I do see them every now and then out on the river, even close to where I'm at.
Wait, did you say Americans don't go fishing a lot? Did he just say that?
That's not what he said, right?
I thought that's what he
Americans
said.
don't go fishing a lot in Singapore.
No. Well, Americans go fishing a lot, but okay, I'll change what I said. I'm a very sheltered person.
Have you never been to Bass Pro Shop ever?
So for context, I lived in a very sheltered family, and I left the States when I was 18 years old.
Jeez.
Coming also from like coastal fishing towns.
Yeah, that's what I was thinking too.
And also because you live by the Great Lakes too, right?
Yeah, when he was in Wisconsin, he was
Right.
close to Lake Michigan.
Right.
Yeah.
People don't go fishing.
Most of my people go fishing.
People go fishing.
Yeah. So, anyways, how's your run? How's your run going?
Oh,
How's your running going?
I feel like before I was using the wrong word. I used to use the word pace, and my cadence, I feel like it's improving. Before I was trying to do what you're talking about, going slower, that I would run slower than my walk, and I look like an idiot, but I was doing it just to try to keep a constant cadence at least.
Yeah, I saw. So actually, Tin and I were talking about that because your stride ended up being 0.66.
Is that good?
I mean, my stride today was 0.7. I don't think it's bad. I mean, it feels weird at first, I would say, but today I didn't think it was abnormal. Like,
oh really?
I went 6.7 miles or something like that, and I could have went another 6 today.
Oh really?
So like your cadence is really just like your ability to regulate everything. Like if you can keep your cadence at a certain level and change your pace or change how you are running to keep your heart rate down, you can go forever. But once you get the cadence down, you can get that, you have a constant to deal with.
Right. Yeah. And go ahead.
Oh no, I was gonna say the thing was, before I started running, I was so out of shape. I work from home, and even just walking around the house made me tired.
Okay, mark that time for
so running. So even when you asked, we were telling me like giving me advice on how to run better and stuff like that, I was just like, man, my whole body is rejecting me right now. I don't know how much I can really listen to this advice.
Yeah, well,
so that's why I'm kind of
your stride is dependent on a couple of things, right? Number one is your height. Obviously taller people with longer legs are going to have longer strides, but at the same time, it's based on what you're doing. So if you're sprinting, your stride, it's going to be a lot further. But if you're making like little tiny strides, and I mean, I guess it really depends on you, right? Is that if you're making long stride, you're going to need a whole lot of leg strength and endurance for that, because you're going to take a lot more energy to move your body forward with a longer stride. So, if you're using a longer stride for your run throughout your entire run, if you're doing 3, 4, 5 miles, you're going to tire out pretty quickly. But
Yeah.
So
Yeah,
that I thought was interesting too. So with your last run, it also said that your perceived effort was strong. Like your stride's at a good spot, and if you're comfortable with 0.66, it's probably fine. And if you feel your perceived effort was strong, then that means to me, that means you're at a point where you can just continuously do that.
Right. Yeah.
And
Unfortunately, at that time, I felt like my running was like, wow, I feel like I'm really improving right now. I'm actually able to keep this up longer with the exception of my muscle pain just from being out of shape. But at that time, I didn't have too much time. I had to go and do some classes and go work a bit. So I had to watch Riley a lot that day.
Yoga.
Yeah, I know I need to.
It'll improve your run, guarantee it.
I have started doing more dynamic stretches before I run, and I feel like that's helped out a lot. Before I used to get a lot more muscle cramps, so now I try to do dynamic stretching. I open up my legs and sorry.
For our listeners, he has his 2 fingers on the palm of his hand, and he's doing like a dance.
I'm so glad you're demonstrating this for us and our listeners and viewers here, because that's it's very helpful.
Yeah, no problem. So basically, I try to move my legs a lot before I run.
So with the humid, I'm guessing it's really humid in Singapore, being that close to the ocean, right? The sea.
Yeah.
How's it on your lungs? Or do you find yourself like aspirating a lot, coughing a lot after your runs?
Not too bad, at least for me. I do feel the humidity and the heat makes it a lot more difficult to run during the day. And there's definitely no one out running in the middle of the day. I feel like at least during the weekdays.
Speaking,
it's usually in the.
Go ahead.
What's that?
Go ahead.
They're usually out in the mornings or in the evenings when it's cooler. But yeah, it's the heat definitely makes it more difficult. But I feel like it's kind of fun in its own way, trying to get through it.
But have you ever gotten catcalled on one of your runs?
Hey man, I'll take catcalling from college girls all day long.
I'm a little jealous. I'm not gonna lie. Yeah. I'm a little
jealous. So speaking of hot, they're running a Moab right now, Moab 240, which isn't hot, right? Because they're actually having to deal with the cold and the rain and the wet. Matt's probably not keeping up with the Moab 240, are you? Yeah, those guys are there's some tough ones, man. I think I saw that one of the competitors is a Serbian runner that's vying for first place right now. I don't know who else is going into first place, but that is a fantastic run out in Utah.
So, are you familiar with the Moab, Matt?
You briefly told me before. I don't know what it is. So it's an area, right? It's a city, or
so. Yeah, actually, I think it starts in a city called Moab.
Right.
So it's a run through like mountains and desert and like the whole 9 yards. You'll run in snow and then over like rivers and then through desert area. And like if you're not fully prepared, you can legit die on this run.
Really?
I don't remember what the record is, but I feel like it's close to 2 days to actually finish this. Wow. It's 240 miles. It's nuts. These guys sleep for like 45-minute breaks and then they get up and they just start going again.
I think the record is 67 hours. Jeez. Courtney the Walter.
I can't. There's no way I can run 67 hours. Just that's nuts.
I think. Yeah, I know Courtney still holds it, but I think she did it in 67 hours.
Oh.
Do they usually just like run at a very like slow pace or
no?
No, they're fast. I mean, they're slow compared to general runners, but they're faster than any of us.
My bad.
Oh, really?
My bad. Hers, the Walter won 2017 in 2 days, 9 hours, and 59 minutes.
So what is that? Like 2 days?
57 hours. I was 10 hours off. 57, 58 hours.
Yeah, it's around 400 kilometers.
So that's that's nuts. That's for every hour is 4 miles. Is that right? So that's Oh, that's not bad. That's 15
It's
minutes per
15-minute
mile.
mile.
Yeah, that's not bad. I mean, the pace is doable, but that's still nuts. That's a long time at 15-minute miles.
Well,
How do
no,
you?
no, hang on now. It's not, they're not 15-minute miles because they also sleep during these things.
Oh yeah, that's true. I forgot about that. The
So
average
they're
pace is
running a lot
15-minute mile. I
faster
forgot
15
about
miles,
that.
So yeah, it's sick, man. She's an amazing runner. But so Matt, other national parks, do you guys have like communities that you live, work, and play in, where everybody convenes into an area and they pretty much do everything there?
Not to that extent. But they do have community gardens, and they're putting a lot more effort into that. They even they're sending out like free seeds to everyone, and you can bid like $50, I think, and you can have a small plot in the garden for about 3 years, and you can just do whatever you want with that small plot, and I see a lot of people actually trying to take advantage of that.
So when people find housing, like I know you told us before, like housing is a pain in Singapore, but when you put your name in a lottery, do you try to pick a neighborhood that you're trying to live in? And if not, like what do you do when your job is across Singapore?
Yeah, it's very difficult.
Make a
It's
30-minute walk, man.
yeah. What was your second question again? He's
So,
like, yeah.
like what do you how is it that you find a place, like I assume people want to live near where they work. Is that accurate
I
in
would say
Singapore?
so. Yeah, Joyce's work, they kind of pulled a fast one on her, where she was purposely trying to find a place where she wasn't it was the work wasn't too far,
Mhm.
and she found one that was like 30-minute bus ride, or sorry, but 30-minute train ride. I'm sorry, and that's that's about the optimal distance where people would think that's good 30-minute train ride. But
Okay.
but now they moved it to the complete opposite side of the island. Now it's like
Mhm.
almost an hour on the train ride.
And what
So
about like things like zoning? Is it like residential areas are very like far away from your commercial districts and like your industry districts, or is it pretty intermingled? So you'd have housing on top of like commercial on the streets, and then you'd have your industry probably on another part of
it's
the
pretty
island.
separate. It's pretty
Pretty
separate,
separate.
and it is there's like suburbs in Singapore, just like a lot of major cities, and like the area where I'm at right now is mainly just older folks. Just
Yeah.
apparently, and it's a lot of old property here, and you don't see many young people at all.
Are there any areas like that? Like when you go to New York City, you sometimes see like a bunch of commercial stuff on the street, and then the people on the top 40 floors or whatever are actually just living there. They don't they don't actually, that's not office space all the time. It's sometimes that's just where they live and they come downstairs and they work there.
From what I remember, or at least from what I see, is it's mostly. I don't think the commercial buildings and residential areas are like all in one building here.
Oh, so they just like completely separate them out altogether.
Yeah,
That
they
sounds like
completely
a
separate
pain.
them.
Wow.
Yeah, but
Okay.
yeah, it is. And it's very difficult to find a place that you want in an area that you want, and it is so difficult that when if you want to get an apartment, generally you ask your loved one first, like, hey, do you want to get an apartment together? Because there's a big commitment here, because it takes around 5 to 6 years to get an apartment.
Jeez. Okay.
Yeah, you have to put it, and you have to put in a bid. You put in like 25 to $50, and you just hope that you get accepted.
Well,
So it's not even a guarantee.
can you clarify that? And I know we'll get into this next week, but are you saying that you have to wait 5 years, or at least the timeline's 5 years for an apartment that you want, or just for an apartment period?
Like you will find out relatively quick if you got the bid or not, within a few months.
What I was saying is that you're saying it takes 5 years to find an apartment, but
for it to be built up.
But are you saying that for an apartment that you want, meaning that that's a place that in high demand, versus okay, I'm living in my car for the next 5 years until I get an apartment approved?
It's not necessarily waiting for the apartment to be approved. You're waiting for it to be built. So they're looking for people. They're planning out ahead of time. Who's going to be living in these apartments, and then so So you, like I said, you find out relatively quick if you're going to get it. You look around and say, okay, this apartment planning, or at least the plans for this apartment complex looks nice.
So they are ghettos. Got it.
Yeah, everything is planned out. Everything is government owned and.
Oh,
run.
that's what I was going to ask. So when you're saying they, you're not talking about a real estate company. You're actually talking about the government.
Yes, the government.
Goodness.
Yeah,
Okay.
so the government runs most of it, but there's a ton of real estate agents here, and you do have to work closely with real estate agents to get what you want, similar to how it is in the States. Like Joyce's brother is a real estate agent. But also I want to mention real quick is they also purposely make the apartment complexes diverse when it comes to racial divides and cultural religion and things like that. So
Interesting.
yeah,
That's
so
cool that they do that. All right.
yeah. So like, yeah, you can only have, they would say like, oh, it has to be, this apartment complex has to be 15% Chinese people, 15% Malaysian, 15%
wow.
Indian. Yeah. So they try to do that because to help with the racial divide and everything.
That would be very illegal in the United States.
Right.
Yeah.
Well,
Yeah.
I'd like to dive into that more next week when
Sure.
I kind of get into that whole entire live, work, and play communities that we're starting to see pop up a lot in the United States. I used to work with a company that built one of Atlanta's, if not Atlanta's first live, work, and play. And ever since then, they've been blowing up. And, it's funny in San Francisco, if you look at Chinatown, for example, you could say, hey, I live here, I dine here, I shop here, I even work here, and you can be dirt poor. But if you come to the East Coast, man, you're paying a premium for that, right?
Mhm.
Like anytime you want that type of environmentally friendly or that type of efficiency living, you're paying a lot of money for it on the
And
East Coast.
usually the work there wouldn't provide you with enough income to live there, but we can talk about that next week.
Well, we're all becoming desk jockeys these days, right?
That's true.
Yeah.
That's very
So, Matt, you got anything else for us on Singapore National Park and Singapore running before we sign off to next week?
Not too much, but if you ever get a chance, Singapore has opened up to the States. I just found out.
Oh, nice.
With
They just opened it
vaccination
up with
cards?
as long as you're vaccinated, yes, you can.
Okay.
And then I don't think there's a quarantine now.
Oh, very cool.
2022 marathon in Singapore.
Triathlon?
Triathlon. Is there?
Triathlon?
I don't know if we can do 2022.
I don't think so
triathlon.
either.
2023. Yeah.
I'm gonna end up drowning in that water. No, but that's cool, man. That's cool to see that Singapore has so many national parks. I definitely look at Singapore's national park more comparatively to the United States state parks rather than the national parks in the U.S. Because Singapore is the size of like a state. States. But no, that's pretty cool, man. I think it's also neat that did you say that to get across Singapore it's 500 kilometers? Is that what it was?
I think so.
Okay.
If you want to go the whole length of the trail, I think.
Okay, so you just got to run 2 Moabs, right?
Yeah.
So that's what we get. All right, guys. That was a good talk, man. It was nice learning about Singapore. And I think we'll get more into Singapore next week when we start talking about the communities that we live in and how they're progressing for better or worse, right? And then we're gonna have our Paqui challenge. So bring something other than Nestle made ramen, man.
Yeah,
like
no
tame spicy ramen. Dude. No, you gotta go
Something
buy.
that's
You have to go
legit
buy that hot
spicy.
sauce now. You got to go buy that hot sauce.
Yeah.
Because that thing's rated 8 and the Paqui chip's probably like 800. So it's not even fair.
Yeah.
Actually, Aiden's going to initially join us next week because he's going to eat half a chip. He
All
wants to eat half
right.
a chip.
Wait, we don't have to eat
nice.
the whole chip then?
Do you want to eat the whole chip? I'll order another one.
No. If I'm down for only eating half, I'm good with that.
And we don't know how long next week's episode is going to run, right? Because it could
Right,
be
okay.
in short by a couple of toilet trips.
You're going to see, like, I'm going to review the chip, and I'm going to review 4 glasses of milk. Just to have it on the side.
Chocolate milk, strawberry.
All right, so that's cool, man. Appreciate you giving us the insight into NPS. Is that what we call them in Singapore? I don't know. I am very disappointed that there are no robots going around seeing if you are doing the furious behave in the furious ways. So that's unfortunate.
Yeah, it was fun, guys.
Yep. All right, guys.
All right, see you
Later.
next week.
See you.